Welcome to Empowered Health. We have a really interesting show this week, full of information to help you take control of your health.
That's right, Vijay. Today we'll be talking about how critical getting a good night's sleep is to your overall health. We'll also get a close-up look at the anatomy of the eye in our series on eye health.
Well, I can't wait, but first, we're going to hear the inspiring story of cancer survivor Wendy Kwan.
May of 2010, I got a breast cancer diagnosis, and I was really surprised by that because I thought I was living a healthy lifestyle. I ate pretty well and I exercised, but what I didn't realize, I think, was that I didn't have my stress under control. So having the diagnosis was really shocking, and for the first few days I was kind of numb.
One of the things that I observed with Wendy is her whole approach. I mean, she maintained such a positive outlook throughout all of that. She very rarely did I see her down. And she just seemed to cope much better than I've seen a lot of other people cope.
Wendy worked with an oncologist and received traditional cancer treatment. But what kept her centered throughout her journey was the practice of meditation. That is, the awareness of one's body, thoughts, and consciousness.
My expectation was that the meditation and yoga would help in terms of stress reduction, and it certainly did. I wasn't kind of prepared for the fact that I was going to be involved in all of this, so it sort of pulled me in that direction as well.
Wendy, now cancer-free, has fully embraced a new lifestyle brought on by meditation. She now oversees classes once a week at Blue Cross, where she is an organizational change manager. She also writes a blog about meditation and mindfulness.
I always like helping people, but I also felt that I wasn't helping enough. There's got to be something out there one day for me where I can help a lot more people in different ways. So the meditation and mindfulness and the Tai Chi teaching is it's a passion for me because I see what it does for people. I see them awaken. I see all the benefits that they're getting.
Visit us online at vancouversun.com/empoweredhealth to share your personal health stories, ask questions of experts, and leave comments about the series or suggest topics for future episodes. And be sure to pick up a copy of the Vancouver Sun newspaper every Thursday for more empowered health stories and tips. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. How many times have you seen those commercials promising you six-pack abs if you just tried this diet or this machine? But do these gimmicks really work? What is realistic?
That's exactly what Wendy Shore is here to demystify today. Spot reduction. Take it away, Randy.
Do you want firmer, toned thighs and chiseled abs in just 2 weeks? Well, you can forget it. No thigh blaster or sit-up enhancing bit of aluminum tubing is going to make a bit of difference. Spot reducing is one of the most persistent myths in the health and fitness industry. It sells millions of dollars worth of home exercise gadgets every year. There might be one under your sofa right now gathering dust. It's a seductive idea because we so want it to be true. The truth is that your body is very good at redistributing fat, and when you burn it, even with sit-ups, it burns all over your body, not just on your stomach or thighs. Cellulite is that dimpling that women get on their thighs and buttocks, and it's caused by an uneven distribution of stretchy connective tissue. Experts from Harvard to UCLA have concluded there is no treatment for cellulite, in part because it's not a disorder. Overall weight loss may reduce cellulite, but even weight loss won't change the structure of your connective tissue, so it may never completely go away, even with the thigh blaster. Then there's that other great TV pitch. Get six-pack abs. And I can't help but notice that the guys in those ads are pretty buff. So will sit-ups give you six-pack abs? Yes and no. Yes, if you are already quite lean. Sit-ups work the rectus abdominis muscles just under the skin. And FYI, there are actually 8 of them. If belly fat is your problem, you're going to have to go much deeper. Belly fat comes in two varieties: a surface layer that lies between the skin and the muscles, and visceral fat that is in amongst your organs. Subcutaneous fat is covering your rock-hard abs from the outside, and the visceral fat is pushing them out from behind. And I think we all know what that looks like. Visceral fat is also a risk factor for everything from heart and liver disease to prostate cancer. If you can get rid of it, you should. According to the Mayo Clinic, visceral fat responds well to a calorie-reduced diet and exercise. And I'm not just talking about sit-ups. I mean walking, running, sports, and weights. Use sit-ups and other core strength exercises to take up the slack and build muscle as the weight comes off. I'm Randy Shore for Empowered Health.
Your back affects your daily health. Welcome to another installment of Your Spine, Your Health.
Because you have a spine, it's important to understand what chiropractic care means to your health. Your health always starts with a regulatory college. In this case, the College of Chiropractors of BC serves to ensure you receive care from a qualified chiropractic doctor for both appropriate diagnosis and treatment, both today and tomorrow. That's also why BC's chiropractors are funding research and education. Today, I'd like to introduce you to the topic of quality research. When we talk about research and you hear about the latest research, it's normally in the headline of a newspaper, a television news report, or maybe some print journal, or even as I'm talking to you today. One of the things that you need to spend time on is to look between the covers of the research. You will have to do a little bit of reading from time to time. We've had all kinds of historical examples when research came out and somebody said, do this or take that, and it works, only to find out 5 years later that the research was flawed, the research may have been biased, may have been inappropriately influenced, or the wrong people did the research and the bad data was reported. So what do you do about that? Well, you're going to have to take some responsibility. If the information on the research rings true to you from your own personal experience, that's an important clue. Likewise, if something doesn't sound right, you're going to have to do some reading. Now, the good news is that the internet today, on any of the search browsers, put in only 2 or 3 keywords and it pops up. But here's the clues for you. Take a look at the title of the research. See if you can read that the research actually investigated what was proposed. And in the case of spine and spine-related research, make sure that the qualified people to deliver the treatment actually were the right ones. Go to the end, what is called the bibliography, and find out if those sources are recent, 5 to 10 years old, or if they're 10 or 20 or even 30 years old. Because in those cases, all we may be doing is repeating the past mistakes and putting a new date on them. So research and quality of research is vital, not just to the doctors you see, but to you, the public. You have to become an empowered healthcare consumer. Just as you're knowledgeable about everything else you use and buy in life, you're going to have to become knowledgeable about what the research is that we in healthcare use to help you get better. As you can see, it's not just about what we can do for you today. We're working to build a better tomorrow and better healthcare outcomes for you.
Today, I'm going to show you how to perform and progress the squat.
All right, Simona. So we're going to teach you how to do the squat. I want you to keep the weight on the heels, and I want you to start to shift your hips backwards as if you were to sit in a theoretical chair, okay? Now your hands can be placed out in front, and this will help balance as well. Now as she comes down, we want to make sure that her lower back is not rounding. That will be her range of motion. Good job. And exhale. So there's the bodyweight squat. You can do this at home and then progress with weights as needed. All right, try that out, and we'll see you next episode.
Coming up on Empowered Health.
So sleep is a bit of a mystery, but the good news here is that if you have the right equipment and you know and understand enough about sleep, you'll be able to sleep better.
We all know it's important to get a good night's rest, But there are so many factors to think about, like how much shut-eye do we really need? And what's happening to our bodies if we don't rest enough?
Today, we're talking to Dr. Bruce, the sleep doctor, in the first of our ongoing series on sleep.
Joining me now is Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sleep, it's so important to us, but what exactly is it and why is it so important?
So sleep is kind of a mystery. We don't actually know why we sleep. We know that we all kind of go into this unconscious state, and then a lot of different things will happen. We know that healing occurs during sleep. We know that our muscular repair occurs during sleep. We even know that our mental restoration occurs during sleep. So sleep is a bit of a mystery, but the good news here is that if you have the right equipment and you know and understand enough about sleep, you'll be able to sleep better.
Here's the question that a lot of people keep asking. How much sleep is the right amount of sleep? And is there a formula or is it an individual thing?
It is actually an individual thing. For example, I'm a 6.5 hour sleeper. I have been my whole life, but I've got patients who may need 8.5 or 9 hours. So everybody's sleep need is individualized. Now the real question is how do I figure that out?
Exactly. How do you figure that out?
So what I have people do is most people wake up at the same time every day. It's usually socially determined, whether it's waking up for work or getting the kids ready for school or something like that. Every sleep cycle is 90 minutes long, and the average person has 5 of those. So if you take that math, that's 450 minutes or about 7.5 hours. So follow me here. If I usually wake up at 6:30, I want lights out at 11.
What happens if you don't get the appropriate amount of sleep on a nightly basis?
You're really going to see at least 3 areas of decline. So one is cognitive, meaning your thinking process. You won't be making decisions correctly, things like that. Next is emotionally. You'll find yourself getting angrier at things that shouldn't normally make you angry. The third is physical. Your reaction time will slow down. So sleep deprivation leads to the 3 biggest areas that can have a problem.
So it's really important to pay attention to.
It's not only important to pay attention to, but what I'd like to think of sleep as is it's kind of the third leg on the stool for health. You've got diet, you've got exercise, you have sleep.
And is it important to be disciplined about when you go to bed?
Actually, it's one of the most important things is consistency in your sleep schedule. If I could tell people one thing that I want them to do to sleep better, it would be going to bed and waking up at the same time, even on the weekends.
What are some of the things that interfere with our ability to drift into sleep? Because it's not like bang, you're asleep, you drift into sleep.
Right.
But we're setting up modern bedrooms where there's all sorts of different gadgets. Do they interfere with our ability to make that transition from consciousness to sleep?
Well, they can. First of all, most people have to realize that sleep is not an on-off switch. It's more like slowly pulling your foot off the gas and slowly putting it on the brake. There's a process that should occur there, and so people need to be aware that it should take you 15 or 20 minutes to fall asleep. Now, you asked my favorite question, which is, what about all the gadgets in the bedroom, right? There's even data now to suggest that using a tablet and reading on a tablet before bed can actually affect your ability to sleep.
Clearly very important to our health, and we're going to discuss different aspects of sleep in future segments. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Every day your eyes are changing, small incremental amounts. So small you don't notice the change. That's because it's not really your eyes that do the seeing, it's your brain, and your brain is adjusting to the changes in your eyes.
It's really a living organism, and if you think of it this way, optics are extremely important, but it's also important how that optical system interacts with the more important mechanism, which is our brain.
Well, the brain does an incredible job of interpreting the signals it receives from the eyes. Eventually, the distortion becomes too much, and your vision starts to blur.
Yeah, we can see generally well, but we sometimes don't know how well we can actually see or what we're supposed to be seeing. We tend to not know that we have a problem.
So here's the problem. You don't notice your eyesight is changing, and it never gets better.
Inevitably, everybody will require glasses, say, for reading. And there could be also, unbeknownst to you, you could have actually a prescription in terms of your vision.
So what to do? Luckily, there's a simple answer. Get your eyes checked and on a regular basis.
And I think probably the single best advice that I give to a lot of my patients is, look after your eyesight. It really is precious, and it's like the old cliche, you don't miss something until you lose it.
Start by picking an optometrist that has access to the latest information and diagnostic tools. Then schedule an eye exam and expect it to take time. You want to ensure your optometrist is going to thoroughly examine your eyes and not just for vision.
Actually, the eye can be a really interesting conduit in terms of your overall general health. But if we take a bigger, broader picture and we look at diseases such as if you're a diabetic, for example, a lot of blood leaks tend to occur on the retina.
For diabetics, the eyes are an early warning system that highlights blood sugar management. And glaucoma, the degeneration of the visual signal along the optic nerve, is related to low blood pressure.
There is some interesting evidence out there to show that there could be a correlation between things like Alzheimer's and dementia and glaucoma, although that's still being debated.
Next time on Empowered Health, we take you step by step through the process of having your eyes examined. After the break.
This is gaining in popularity, which is excellent. This is one of the healthiest foods on the planet.
This cooking and nutrition portion brought to you by Save On Foods.
Chef and holistic nutritionist Andrea Potter from Rooted Nutrition is with me in the kitchen today with another easy to cook recipe. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So today's recipe is?
So we're making a frittata. And frittata, basic eggs, but we're going to be adding a lot of really great veggies.
Okay. So where do we start?
So we're going to start by doing some veggies. If you want to help me out.
That's kale, right?
Yeah, this is gaining in popularity, which is excellent. This is one of the healthiest foods on the planet.
Right.
So a really quick way to, I call it unzipping the kale.
That's easy, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to cut it or fool around with a knife.
Right.
And just pull the middle right out of it.
Yeah, that is simple.
So I'm actually just going to pop it all into my little pot.
Just steam it?
Just steam it for a couple minutes while you get your other things prepared.
Right.
Okay, great. So next is, I'll do the egg cracking maybe if you want to chop the peppers.
Sure.
Does that sound fair?
That's a deal. Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay, just small pieces?
Small pieces, and I learned if you cut them this way up, it's actually better because you lose less water. You don't squish the water out of it.
Okay, well, good to know.
I'm just going to add a little bit of milk.
Okay.
Great. It's looking not bad. So all of your chopped veggies can just go into the pie plate.
Okay. And you already got some tomatoes?
I chopped some cherry tomatoes.
Cherry tomatoes?
Yeah. Sun-dried tomatoes are good. If cherry tomatoes aren't in season, sun-dried tomatoes are a nice alternative.
And the kale leaves are ready?
So we'll let that cool for just a second.
Okay.
Get the rest of our stuff in there. We're going to pour the eggs over top.
Okay.
And would you like to crumble the cheese into here in the meantime?
All of it?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, that's up to you. And then I'm going to put a little bit of sea salt. That looks good. I'm just going to wring out some of the water. And then I'm just going to chop this.
It's kind of like lukewarm now, yeah.
Yeah, I'll chop it roughly.
Shall I?
Sure.
Is that good, or
That's
you
great,
want
yeah.
them
And then
smaller?
we can just sprinkle it all over.
So, all in here?
Yep, all in there.
Okay. Does that look anywhere near good?
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay.
So I actually kind of push it down.
So that's the egg and the dairy mix.
Yeah. And we've got 8 eggs in here, so this will feed around 4 people.
Okay.
4 to 6, depending on if you have a side salad, it's probably
Right.
6. So I'm going to pop this in the oven for about half an hour.
At what temperature?
I think it's 375 or so.
Okay.
You'll actually see it puff up a little bit, and when it's quite obvious when it's done. When the middle is set, it's done.
Okay.
Let it cool for a couple minutes, and then we'll taste it.
All right. Okay.
Right.
So put it in the oven now?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So this was in the oven for half an hour or so at 375.
Okay.
Once it's set in the middle, then you know it's done. And I've just plated up a couple for us. Shall
Okay.
we?
All right. Yes. This is my favorite part of my job.
Nice. Dig in.
Well, Andrea, this tastes really good, and the kale leaves, they give it that really nice flavor.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a great way to get tons of kale into one meal.
Absolutely. You can find out more about this recipe in today's Vancouver Sun, or log on to vancouversun.com/empoweredhealth. Andrea, thanks for being on the show.
Cheers.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and often the one that gets neglected the most. I've got registered dietitian Crystal Higgins with me, who's got some quick breakfast ideas so that you don't have to skip your morning meal to save some time. Crystal, welcome to the show.
Thanks, VJ.
So, a lot of people are skipping breakfast. How can we avoid that?
Well, a lot of people don't have much time in the morning, including myself, but I find one of the most effective things to do is actually think about what you're going to have the night before. Perhaps even set it out in the fridge, or just simply have easy to assemble ingredients on hand that you can quickly put a meal together in the morning.
So what should a healthy, balanced breakfast include?
Well, the more balanced your breakfast is, the more energy you're going to have all day. I find that the key is having something that's going to give you some protein, some fruit, and some fiber.
And what about carbs?
Well, carbs are important too, but unfortunately there's a lot of not so good carbs out there that are high in sugar and very processed products that don't leave you with a very long-lasting energy.
So can you give us some examples of balanced breakfast?
So more balanced breakfast could be something like a frittata. You could make that the night before, simply just have it so you can slice it up in the morning, bring it with you. Shakes and smoothies are fantastic.
You can have them in your car while you're waiting in traffic.
Absolutely. You just want to make sure that it includes a source of protein, so something like a protein powder, a Greek yogurt, soft tofu, or even a natural peanut butter. You could do quinoa instead of doing oatmeal.
Quinoa is actually really good. I mean, it's fast and quick to cook, and then it's also fills me right up. You don't need to eat a lot of it, but it fills you right up.
Absolutely. So that's really quick and easy. Eggs and toast, actually quite simple and easy to do in the morning. Or if you don't want to do the toast, you can even do eggs with the avocado and tomato slices. And lastly, a lot of people are making their own breakfast bars. So incorporating oatmeal and fruits and nuts and seeds in there, it's a great option.
You'd also mentioned including fiber in your breakfast. I know fiber is important otherwise, but why is it important to have it in the morning?
Well, fiber is really important in the morning because it helps to keep you feeling full throughout the day.
That makes
So
sense.
you're not going back for that coffee and a donut at 11 a.m. So.
Well, that's perfect. And thanks for this awesome information. And I hope with this information in hand, people won't be skipping breakfast as much.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thanks, VJ.
Well, that's all for this episode of Empowered Health. Michelle, I for one found all that stuff about the eye quite illuminating.
I see what you mean, VJ. For more information on any of the stories you saw today, check out today's Vancouver Sun or the Vancouver Sun website. Bye for now.